for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
On this week's episode of Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod, we discuss our hot takes in U.S. soccer as we take a break from MLS with the international break. The U.S. national team is a friendly against Portugal. We look at the roster and our thoughts on the youth movement. Finally, we replay our interview with the USSF Academy Director Jared Micklos over the direction of the system. All this on this week's episode of Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod.
Yes, Switzerland is in the World Cup. I know everybody's super excited.
No one cares.
Woohoo!
No
Going to Russia.
No one cares.
I know all the listeners to Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod. Follow us on Twitter and subscribe.
No one cares.
I know you guys are all super excited.
No one cares.
Just enjoy the national anthem, Armand. Just enjoy it.
Can we turn this off?
What a day. Switzerland going through. And it made me realize, how did America not qualify?
Luck.
It wasn't luck. 27 points from 10 games. Just saying.
Suspect penalty.
It's not my problem.
Just saying.
Northern Ireland didn't create many chances. Should have been a lot more.
Just saying.
Anyway, I'm Steven Jodderin, Armand Kafai. Welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. Brief moment of Switzerland. I don't know, I need a mascot for Switzerland. Alphorn Soccer Podcast. Brief minute there. Anyway, Armand, FIFA window is upon us. No MLS, no playoffs. U.S. men's national team taking on Portugal in a couple days' time. Super excited. But let's begin with opening hot takes. We'll start with you.
All right, so I have a couple, but I guess we'll alternate. I feel like that is the right way to go about it.
You have a couple?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So let's start off with what has been the talk recently, which is the USSF presidency. People are starting to run for it. We saw Martino enter last week. We've had Ronaldo.
Yes.
We have all these guys enter in. I feel like, and not that it matters, in my opinion, because remember, these people don't get votes, but I feel like people are getting too hung up on the promotion relegation aspect of it, which will not have an impact on the United States, I think, for another 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I would even push that to probably 10 to 15 years.
In my eyes, we're looking at this debate. I think the debate should be more of who's going to fix a youth problem than who's going to implement promotion relegation.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do we really have that big of a youth problem? I get it. We're missing players. But, the academies of just two clubs, Red Bulls and FC Dallas, they've produced players. It's not like we're not producing players. A lot of them are in Europe. Look at all the how many players were brought up here in MLS that play in Europe now? At least have some sort of link. Or to the academy.
I have no idea off the top of my head.
Or to at least the academy. Because remember, the academy, you have U.S. Soccer Academy is a whole complex system. And MLS is just one entity of that.
There's multiple issues, though, and I think the number one issue is not the number one issue, but a key issue is the way college soccer is played. I think that's one issue. If we use college soccer for more of a different way, if we played it more realistically and more like a developmental league than however it is being played right now, which I guess we'd call it a joke. It'd probably be a little bit better than what it actually is right now. I think that's another issue that I think U.S. soccer needs to tackle. Is that, I mean, we obviously have pay to play. We obviously have players that fall underneath the cracks. I mean, I was discussing this with a friend yesterday. Players from El Paso, Brownsville, those areas, do they have a realistic shot at, making are those the players that fall through the cracks? Is my question.
I mean, the pay play, you just mentioned it. Dan Hunt, owner of FC Dallas, one of the Major League Soccer clubs, one of the academy system clubs, I quote, doesn't really see a problem with it. I mean, not word for word, but he kind of said that on one of the FC Dallas's broadcasts.
I mean, I feel like what he was saying, it was kind of a point. If you identify a talent for academy systems in MLS is an issue, but the thing is, does most of the talent get identified? And the answer is no. Plain and simple.
But I still think it comes down to kids aren't playing soccer or not pursuing it like they want to pursue basketball, football, or baseball, or in some cases hockey. Because
there's no money.
There's no money in promotion and relegation. People are like, oh, it's going to open up all types of things. No, it's not. I mean, you're going to kill some markets because they're going to go under, they're going to get relegated, and that's the end of them. They're just not going to rebound. I promise you that's going to happen. It happens in Germany. It happens in England. Some clubs go under, and then, they might reemerge, and sometimes you have the story of Leicester City or Nice or, I don't know, you can name RB Leipzig, but you can you think about it. I mean, the promotion relegation for U.S. soccer presidents to really talk about that is such a waste of time.
It is a giant waste of time. And you have Ronaldo, spouting, I want to go promotion relegation. Yeah, it's the European thing. It's
like build the wall.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. And what I told you, he's kind of like a Donald Trump persona when it comes to, he'll just say these things.
So
and he has a plan apparently.
Is Kyle Martino, the Ohio governor, was
John Kasich?
And then
I guess
Bernie Sanders is who? Galati?
No, I feel like Galati would be more of the Hillary Clinton.
But that's a weird comparison. I like
to make.
that. I like that. Hillary Clinton. Who's the Bernie Sanders?
I'm not sure if there really is a Bernie Sanders in this.
Who's
I think
the oldest guy? Who's the oldest one with white hair?
I'm not even sure, honestly, off the top of my head. Maybe. But going back to the point, in this day and age, promotion relegation is a little bit more far than I think a lot of people think. I think after U.S. collapse, everyone jumped on this promotion relegation. I mean, there's a cult following on Twitter.
I want to tease something to the listeners. We will have one of those big promotion relegation guys on the show in the coming weeks, and we're actually going to have a civil conversation. It's not going to be he said,
no
she said.
Name calling.
No, it's going to be natural.
You idiot.
Because Armand and I are all for promotion and relegation, but we're realistic. We're pragmatic about it. It's the way MLS built itself is to avoid it at all costs. Because what happened in the 70s with North American Soccer League, Armand? Please enlighten me. What happened to that league? Why?
It collapsed basically, and this is obviously me paraphrasing. Cosmos were spending a lot, and the rest of the leagues outside of a couple others couldn't really attract interest, and the league just folded.
Exactly.
That's why MLS is built the way it is, and that's why they're trying to protect their assets and not have a repeat of what happened. The thing is with promotion and relegation, you see the upsides, you see the downsides. You could think it's feasible, you could think it's not. Steven, I remember, we might do this again. I mean, when we had a discussion with the promotion relegation guy, I might do this again. When we sat down in the classroom and talked about promotion relegation scenarios and how to set up the leagues for about an hour, and we realized this is when we don't know the ins and outs of everything.
No,
and we're completely struggling.
I mean, we were just trying to do the math of it. We're just trying to divide the leagues up and how you would do it, but MLS wants to grow to 28 teams. I mean, how are you going to have promotion relegation in the system like that? How are you going to divide the schedule up? You have so many other issues. And then the issue with American soccer right now is the youth. Who cares about MLS? U.S. soccer and MLS they have an agreement, but U.S. soccer should be really worried about the men's national team because what did they just fail to do? Qualify for the World Cup. Okay? It's a disaster that did not qualify. And that is why the argument of promotion and relegation for the U.S. president's candidates to be talking about is a huge waste of time because it's such a complex issue. If we had qualified for the World Cup, then fine, we could have this conversation. But I think...
Yeah, you're right, and I think it also a fear that a lot of people are slowly not realizing is whenever you mention, oh yeah, they didn't make the World Cup, everyone's like, what about the women's team? They won the World Cup. And credit to them, they did.
Credit.
But if you've been watching the women's soccer team recently, they've been falling off. The rest of the world is catching up with the U.S. women's national team. You saw what happened in the Olympics. You're not seeing the same. I guess you're seeing domination against certain teams, but not against other certain teams, and these are teams that USA used to dominate. So the women's side is also a side that needs to be looked at as well.
Yeah, and the women's side, I think, has an issue right now with attracting fans. I mean, they were playing in a football stadium, had 8,000 people show up.
Yeah, I think it was one in New Orleans, right?
This was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I remember.
Yep.
Nobody showed up, and it's like, why? And how? And remember, one of the highest, I think, I still might be the highest all-time rated U.S. soccer game in America is the Japan-USA World Cup final.
That goal fest in the first 10, I missed the first 2 goals. I remember I was going to get some food. I missed the first 2 goals.
You pulled a me from last week.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean, so it's the promotion relegation is a huge waste of time. And okay, so my turn now.
Yeah, your turn.
Moving on here. I want to talk about Detroit's MLS bid.
Ew.
Which got really fascinating after the Ford family is planning to wait behind Detroit's bid to land a Major League Soccer franchise. Now I'm reading from the Detroit Free Press, Venice Elise. And they go on and they highlight how suddenly Detroit no longer wants to build a stadium, and they just want to play out of and basically share it with the Detroit Lions. Ford Field.
No. For the love of God, if MLS wants to make the next step, I think they need to stop ground sharing with NFL sides.
Yeah, and speaking of ground sharing, let me ask you how has it worked out? New England Revolution, New England Patriots share Gillette Stadium. How's that work out for them?
It's embarrassing for New England whenever the Pats play and the field is covered. It doesn't look like a professional league.
They play on turf. Yep. And you
see the logos and all that stuff.
What's more embarrassing is when the New England Patriots have 2 private jets that go around the country, and then you got Kai Kamara and the New England Revs who have to go to Logan Airport, hang out, fly commercial, and be.
That's an MLS thing. That's not a New England Revolution thing. That's 100% MLS thing. They only have 4 charter flights. They want to promote parity in every way possible. That's an MLS thing, not really a craft thing. But I see what you're saying. I see exactly what you're saying. The investment in the private jets compared to the Revolution.
In a stadium. Just that money could be built. Just build a freaking soccer stadium in New England or around Boston, and it's going to be one of the premier leagues in MLS. I promise you that. How many international friendlies are played at Gillette Stadium? Quite a bit. They always have one of the champions. The ICC always plays there.
Yep.
The men's national team plays up there. So they have a good investment into the sport. Now Kraft just needs to put some money up for a stadium. Now there's been some struggles, but the sharing of Gillette Stadium doesn't work. NYCFC, Yankees, that's on grass. That doesn't work. We already know that. Okay.
We already seen it.
Yep. The Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United, brand new Mercedes-Benz Dome, turf field. This is a hard one.
I think it works. And let me tell you why I think it works. I think the stadium was built, and this is something that a lot of people talk about,